Hi, Jonas and Cam. It's Auntie Sarah. I haven't been reading to you in a long time, but I'm starting a new book. And Jonas, you were in kindergarten, so I thought I would start a book that's a chapter book called The Wizard of Oz. Look how thick it is. So I'll do 1 or 2 chapters a day or a video, and we'll have fun. So this is by L. Frank Baum, and you can see there are a lot of words and there are some pictures. So really this is the type of book that you want to sit and listen to maybe while you're drawing or doing a puzzle, and just imagine the characters and the scenery in your mind, although I'll show you the pictures. So let's actually get started with a couple of things. This book was published a long time ago. Look at all the chapters. Wow. So I want to read you about the author. Linman Frank Baum was born May 15th, 1856 in Chattanooga, New York. He began his writing career as a teenage reporter for the New York World. Within 2 years, he was the publisher of a small-town newspaper in Pennsylvania. As a young man, Baum also acted in road companies and wrote plays. One of his musical comedies was produced in New York. He returned to journalism in 1880. That is a long time ago that he was born and when he was around. Linman Baum married and had 4 sons. He settled in Chicago, where he founded a trade journal, which helped him to support his family while he continued writing fiction. The Wizard of Oz, which was first published in 1900. That was 9 years before your great-grandfather, Papa Max, was even born. It became so popular among its readers that Baum wrote 13 sequels. That's another story after the first one to the original story. In addition, he wrote books for girls under the pen name Edith Van Dyne. L. Frank Baum died in 1919. That's 101 years ago. So there are a lot of characters in this book, and I'm going to introduce you to the first few characters that you're going to meet. First, there's Dorothy. She's the girl who will be whisked away by a cyclone to the land of Oz. Her dog Toto, and the people she lives with, Auntie Em and Uncle Henry. And they hide in the cellar of their house and they never leave Kansas. Some of the characters that she meets in the land of Oz are the witch, the Good Witch of the North, and the Munchkins. And she has 3 really special friends, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. So let's get started. Chapter 1. Here's their little tiny house. The Cyclone. Dorothy lived with her Auntie Em and Uncle Henry in a small farm in Kansas. The tiny house stood alone on a large flat prairie. Dorothy had only one friend, her dog Toto. He was a small black dog who loved to jump and play. One day, while Dorothy and Toto were playing, they heard an awful sound of a storm. The wind roared and the dust blew smoky circles in the air. Dorothy was frightened. Uncle Henry stopped working and shouted, "There's a cyclone coming! Run for the cellar!" A cyclone is a terrible storm, similar to a tornado. Even little Toto wanted to run away. He jumped from Dorothy's arms and ran into the house and hid under the bed. So instead of going into the cellar, Dorothy followed him into the house. Then a strange thing happened. The house turned round and round. Then it rose through the air. Toto ran out from under the big bed and barked loudly. It was very dark and the house swayed back and forth. Dorothy held Toto in her arms and listened to the wind. She was frightened. Auntie Em and Uncle Henry were safe in the cellar. She was all alone. Hours passed. The house tossed and turned in the storm, and finally Dorothy closed her eyes and fell asleep. And there's the picture of the cyclone, Dorothy and her little dog Toto. So chapter 2, The Munchkins. After a long time, Dorothy woke up. Everything was quiet. Bright sunshine came through the windows. Toto pressed his cold nose against Dorothy's face. "Where am I?" asked Dorothy. "What happened to Uncle Henry and Auntie Em?" She ran to the door and looked out at a magical land. All around her were beautiful green trees and colorful flowers. Tiny purple birds sang as they flew from tree to tree. Dorothy had never seen such a lovely place. I bet you can imagine a beautiful place in your mind. Suddenly, she heard a small voice say, "Welcome to the land of the Munchkins." Dorothy turned around, and there were 3 men and 1 woman standing in a circle. They were all the same size as Dorothy, but they looked like grown-ups. They wore hats that rose to a small point about a foot above their heads. Tiny bells tinkled when they moved. The men wore strange blue suits and had long white beards. The woman wore a long gown covered in stars. She made a bow and in a sweet voice said, "How can we thank you for killing the Wicked Witch of the East? You have set us free." Dorothy was shocked. "There must be some mistake," she said. "I have not killed anyone." The tiny woman pointed to the house. "Look, your house landed on the witch. Those are her feet sticking out from under the block of wood." Here's a picture of the Munchkins. "Oh dear," cried Dorothy. "I'm so sorry. There's nothing you can do," said the woman. "She was a very wicked witch, and she made the Munchkins slaves for many years. Now, thanks to you, we are free." "Are you a Munchkin?" asked Dorothy. "No," answered the woman. "I am the Good Witch of the North." Dorothy had never heard of a good witch, but the kind woman explained that Dorothy was now in the land of Oz. In the land of Oz, there were 4 witches. The witches who lived in the north and the south were good witches, and the people loved them. But the witches who lived in the east and the west were wicked. "Now you have killed the Wicked Witch of the East," explained the gentlewoman, "and there is only one wicked witch still alive." Now Dorothy understood. She was happy to have helped the Munchkins, but she wanted to return to Kansas and see her Uncle Henry and her Aunt Em. So there's a picture of Dorothy talking with the Good Witch and Toto always nearby. The Good Witch and the Munchkins had never heard of Kansas. Dorothy was a long, long way from home. She began to cry. She felt very lonely in this strange land. When the Good Witch saw that Dorothy was crying, she took off her cap and balanced the point on the end of her nose. She counted to 3. The cap changed into a slate, and on the slate there were words, "Let Dorothy go to the Emerald City." A slate is like a little whiteboard or a chalkboard. Dorothy dried her tears. "You must go to the Emerald City. Maybe the Wizard of Oz can help you," said the Good Witch. "Who is the Wizard of Oz?" asked Dorothy. "He is a great wizard," answered the Good Witch. "He is more powerful than all of us put together. He lives in the Emerald City. Only he can help you return to Kansas." And here's the Good Witch putting her hat on her nose. "How can I get to the Emerald City?" asked Dorothy. "You must walk," the Good Witch said. "You will follow the yellow brick road. Follow that road and you will find the Wizard of Oz." Then the Good Witch kissed Dorothy on the forehead. It was a magical kiss, and it left a round, shining mark. It would protect Dorothy on her long trip. The Munchkins gave Dorothy the silver slippers that the Wicked Witch of the East had worn. They had special magic, but no one knew what that magic was. Dorothy put the silver slippers on, waved goodbye to her new friends, and she and Toto began their journey to the Emerald City. Here's a picture of Dorothy with the magical kiss. And next time we will read chapters 3 and 4. So that's all for now. Love you.